guys, I'm Brad the Builder. What I want to share with you today are 3 things that people make mistakes on when choosing a home builder. There is a specific order you need to go through in selecting a home builder, and after my 35 years of building homes and over 600 custom homes being built, I have had quite the experience in helping people out to guarantee that they get a successful build. And when it gets out of order, that's when it becomes extremely problematic, and you guys have probably heard all the war stories. So I'm here to help you before you make those mistakes and share these 3 important steps. So let's get started. So number 1, how do you select a home builder? And that's important. You need to pick and find out the right home builder that fits for you. Number 2, you need to go through and select a lot, and the home builder needs to help you with that. And number 3, you need to design your home. A lot of times people come to me or builders with a set of blueprints and they want the guy to bid it out. That is so out of whack because they don't have a lot. I can go into deeper conversation on why one plan can be priced 4 or 5 different price points because not every builder builds the same way. But I'm gonna get into that in a little bit later. So number 1, how do you pick a home builder? And now you gotta ask yourself, what are you? Are you a true custom home or are you a semi-custom? And there's a difference because most semi-custom home builders probably have a model home. You do not make a lot of changes to their plans. That's why they call it a semi-custom or a model home builder. You might get to pick colors, but you are not changing the plans. You are very limited to what they have designed. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about being a custom home builder, which is what I am. When you go to pick out a home builder, I should say pick one out, that sounds like it right off the shelf, or really interview, there's the steps you should take in picking out a home builder. When you go to find a home builder, I always tell people, slow it down, ask around, ask questions, because who really knows the builders most are the subcontractors. They work with a lot of builders. The builders, subs that work for me, work for other contractor home builders as well. And they tell me certain things by saying, I cannot believe this builder does this. A lot of times builders do things because they do not know. Also, number 2, they're trying to save money at your expense. And if you don't see it, they don't care because it's going to be your problem down the road. So when you ask a subcontractor who's a good builder, it's kind of like going to a nurse, asking a nurse who is a good doctor. You may not think that way, but there is a great reference point right there. Nurses are always in the operating rooms. They're working with doctors, all kinds of doctors. They know the good ones from the bad ones. So if you got sick kids, ask a nurse who you think is a good doctor. No different than asking a plumber, a heating air contractor, a framer. If you know some of these guys, if you don't know them, drive around some of the job sites and talk to some of these subs. Just pull up and say, hey, I'm thinking about building a home. What builder do you recommend? They'll give you some recommendations. Sometimes people rely on their real estate agents to help with references. And that can be good or bad. Here's the pros and cons of that. The cons to it is real estate agents typically are not that educated on new construction. They may know a builder or 2, but they may not know how good a builder they are. And a lot of agents represent home builders. So if you ask them for a reference, they're gonna steer you to their builder because they make money off that builder versus turning them loose with giving a bunch of names and references. Another thing in finding a builder is maybe tour some model homes. Now, you're most likely going to get semi-custom builders in model homes because custom builders typically do not have model homes. I did have some model homes and it helped me quite a bit, but I was able to take a model home and make it a true custom design. People could come in, they could touch and feel, see the quality, which is very helpful. And if you want to find a builder that doesn't have a model home that's getting high references, he will most likely take you through some homes that he has built. So when you finally have found a home builder, here's some things in the interview process you need to ask them. How many homes have you built? Sometimes these guys are brand new. I'm blown away how many times I lose a build or find a buyer that said, God, we should have came to you, Brad, but we started working with this home builder because an agent told us this, or he was in the neighborhood and they just got caught up in it. The guy was brand new. You're giving this guy $800,000, $1 million plus, and he can't afford to live in one of his own homes. So why are you trusting somebody brand new with all that money? Because a lot of times people think you're going to save some money. Remember, you get what you pay for. So do your homework. Also, when you interview the builder, ask him if he is going to be your point of contact. It's all about communication. If you cannot communicate with your home builder, especially in this interview, you might as well just end it right there. So once you get past that and you like the guy, is he really going to be in the field? Like, I go out in the field, check my jobs. A lot of builders, they're the front man, and then they hand you off to one of their project managers. So make sure your expectations are being met. Is he doing a fixed contract price, or is it a cost plus? There's two different types of that. Typically, model home builders are a fixed contract price. You can walk in, see the house, you know what you get. Another trick, when you go in those model homes, you guys, a little sidebar, a lot of times those model homes are filled full of all kinds of extra options, but the base price does not include those. I've seen model homes in other markets where it's $1 million model home, but they say starting at $550,000. And I'm like, what in the world could you possibly be leaving out of this house to get it down that low? And you would be surprised. So ask, make sure you're getting what you are paying for and not getting tricked. Because once you sign a contract, you cannot get out of those things. They're pretty impossible, and they're very expensive, and attorneys involved, and that's the last thing you want. So figure out what your expectations are and do your homework. On those cost plus is, what is his cost plus? So what that means is a builder's going to charge you every time he orders materials, pays a subcontractor, he adds his fee to that. So do your homework. That's a whole nother topic. And if you want to know more on that, let me know. I'll be glad to do a whole video on cost plus and fixed price contracts. Then you want to find out about change orders. Yeah, that's right, change orders. I try to do my homes where the price up front is maybe not what they like, but it doesn't change, which also means there's very, very few change orders. Typically, my homes have anywhere from 3 to 4 change orders. That's it. Some builders trick you, get the low price in, and then they change order you like crazy. And that's where they make their money. Because once you're in, when you want to change, you have to pay them to make that change. So keep that in mind. And that gets into the design. Well, I'll get into a little bit. Make sure everything is in the price of the home before you sign on the dotted line. We'll get to that. And then find out how they bill. I've heard war stories where the builder takes the money up front, and then typically these guys are so far behind on other jobs, they'll take your $50,000 deposit and they're paying on the house that's 3 doors down and trying to get square again. So you will have to pay a deposit, but make sure that you are paying them on performance. And what that means is you give them maybe a $20,000, $30,000 deposit that allows him to take out permits, get the plans designed, and start construction. Once he gets the foundation in and the plumbing in on the groundwork, a few of those things, that might add up to 10% of the $1 million contract, so you'll owe him $100,000. Don't let him come in and say, oh, I could use another $150,000. I'll let you know I need more money. You need to know exactly what you are paying him for. And when you pay him, this is key, that you get a lien waiver, because there's plenty of war stories. And I just had it in our market here where a pool guy was getting people's pools in their backyard, digging a hole, taking almost all the money and then leaving. And then they had a hole in the ground, no pool. And they also never got lien waivers signed, so they have to pay the guys that dug the hole. It can be scary. So get lien waivers, which protects you, that the subcontractor, when you paid the builder and he pays your bills, they're getting paid. Title companies can help you with that as well. There is a whole nother video on that as well. So when you get references, you got your builder, you think he's your guy, I tell people it needs to be maybe 3 to 4 references. And the references should not be their top 3 or 4 buyers. I say when you are interviewing me, I should be giving you, as a home builder, the person who I'm just currently working with. You should be getting the guy that's currently under construction, maybe getting close to moving in. And then maybe the second or the third or fourth could be people that have lived in the house for a year or 2. So you get a feeling of what it's like working with the builder, what it's like when you're in the middle of construction. Is the builder doing what he says? And then is he standing behind the house once it's completed? So when you are interviewing, make sure every builder gives you references that are basic on a rotation. It's not their top 4 or 5. That's an easy and a tricky way to go about it. And then finally, on the builder, I've said this before, to wrap up the builder side, do you guys get along? And if you don't, end the conversation, move on, find another builder. So number 2, you need a builder to help you select a lot. And here's why. When you pick out a lot, they're not all the same. It's all about location, location, location. You've heard that about real estate, and that starts with the lot. That is, I've heard many times some developers and old builders tell me, you pick a great lot, build a lousy house on it, it will sell. Build a fantastic house on a lousy lot, it will not sell. So pick the lot, and the lot has a lot of variables with it. Are there hidden costs when you pick this lot? Are there utilities included in it? I built on 20 acres out in the country. I had to put in septic system. I had to put a well in, I had no water, and I had to come in and bring in power. So those are all additional costs that I was fully aware of, but I didn't quite have the cost on them either. But that could be in the tens of thousands of dollars, dependent on your market and what the terrain is like. A builder can help you on this lot by pointing out some of the pros and cons, because does the lot have grading issues? We're in Nebraska, we don't have trees. That means we got to spend money on trees. In your market, you might buy a lot that has a ton of trees. What's it going to cost to remove all those and haul them out? That's an added expense. You want to be paying attention to the slope of the lot. That means there might be a need for retaining walls. There are some lots that are so problematic that a person builds a house and has spent probably $50,000 to $150,000 in retaining walls. Here's people that have picked out a lot that has a crazy steep driveway. That's where they forced the plan on the lot. You don't want to be that person. Another most important thing I like to do on lots is sun direction. It's important to know where that west sun is coming from, because I can't tell you how many times I look on lakes and golf courses where people have these big, beautiful windows on the back of their houses. They're awesome. And then come the afternoon from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night, because that summer sun stays out a long time, they got to close up every single window on the back of their home because it backs to the west. You want to sit in your backyard and let the house shade your patio. That means you might want a west-facing house where the backyard's to the east. A south-facing rear of the back of the house is great for passive solar energy, where you get that nice winter sun coming in. And there's all kinds of benefits to that as well. Let your builder help you with a lot. And then number 3, we're now getting into the fun part where you can actually start designing your house. If you have a builder that's talented enough that can help with design, it's kind of rare. I'm kind of a rare breed. That's my strength, is I design the homes with a draftsman. And then there's another part where you can pick out a draftsman or an architect. There is a difference. I can say I've never used an architect on any of my homes, because I've found that I have a draftsman that are talented enough to make the homes the way I want them. An architect they're extremely talented, they are educated, and they can get a lot of attention to details. But when you're working with an architect and a draftsman, they're not always aware of your budget. They're great at designing things, but they're aware of your budget, but they're not really aware of what things cost. So they'll design in some stuff that is very expensive because they like it. You may not even know it. I'll give you a perfect example. One time I was bidding on a house for an architect years ago, and the architect specified $60,000 special hardware for the kitchen and all the bathrooms. Out of the other 3 builders, I was the only one that picked up on that. I bid it, so already I'm $60,000 higher than the other builders. And that's why sometimes you hand a blueprint to a builder, you got to make sure everybody's bidding it apples to apples. I was looking at every single detail on that plan. The other guys were not. I don't know what ended up happening. I didn't get the job because I was too high, because I had everything in that plan that the other guys didn't. But that's a classic example of not knowing what you're getting when you bid a house. When you use an architect or a draftsman, don't get these plans so big, every single detail on them. Here's why. That scares the subcontractors. The subs in the residential business are craftsmen. And you can talk to the commercial guys. Those guys are really businessmen. They're good craftsmen, but they're fast. They're getting in and out. There's no homeowner that's looking over their shoulder, so the quality can slip a little bit. On a home, I got people going through with a microscope pretty much looking at every single detail. So it's a specific sub. The commercial guys don't want anything to do with the residential homes. So when you deal with the residential guys, you're dealing with a person who takes their work pride very personal. And so when they see a super thick blueprint that's detailed out, it tends to scare them away. And with that, if it doesn't scare them away, it drives the price up. So what I do to solve that is I get a simple plan, And then I come up with a very detailed list of specifications that's written in order, that's in layman's terms that everybody can understand, the subcontractor, the homeowner, and the builder. For example, it might say siding. It's going to be James Hardie siding. It's 7-inch lap siding. And then are the windows getting trimmed out? Yes, no. And then you're going to talk about the doors in the house. The doors are not specified on a blueprint. Are they solid core? Are they 8 foot tall? So all those little personal things you can write up, and I have that on a sheet that I could share with you guys. So as you start designing your ideas, I always say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Go to Pinterest, go to houzz.com, create a little portfolio of kitchens that you like, of exteriors like front doors, exteriors of homes, maybe bedrooms, fireplaces, all those things. And I use those to incorporate that into the design. But I have to start with your budget, and you have to be honest and upfront, because typically the pictures you're bringing to the builders and designers are multi-million-dollar homes, because that's where the cool stuff is. And that's the reason why it's the cool stuff, is because it costs so much money. So you have to be realistic with your budget with us. So if I'm designing your home and you want to be at 800,000, but in your mind you're going, this builder could charge me an extra 100, 200 and change orders, I can go way over. You're not going to be happy with the plan, because you're wanting $1 million house, and I'm being told to design you an $800,000 house. So that's why it's important you communicate with your builder and your designers so that they are designing the home that you want to your budgets. So for example, my personal home, I graded the lot, knew exactly what the lot was going to look like, and then I designed the home. So I have some unique features on my house where I put the deck on the side of my house with the garage below, because I had a steep lot. And what that did, when I pushed the deck off to the side, it opened up all the glass windows on the back of my house with unobstructed views. I don't have to sit in my house, look out a window across the deck to look out and see these big views. Now I do have that on the other side, but it's a secondary window. And then I'm also sitting on the deck, position my house so that the sun creates shade on the deck in the afternoon. And eventually someday I'll be able to sit on my deck and look at this pond. So those are just a couple of tips that I did. And also I designed it so I didn't have to have retaining walls. I did put one in the foundation, which is a lot cheaper, but there's a lot of that. I can go into some details on how I design homes and why. That would be a fun one if you guys like to see me share that. I'm coming up with an idea maybe where we have some one-on-one, some live stream talking about designing and building homes together, and show you with everyone's ideas and what it takes and how one person's ideas can add and subtract and create something very beautiful. But mostly just summarizing, remember, it's all in order. When you're picking a home builder, make sure you do the research, then you pick out the lot, and then you get the plans designed. So once those go in order, you will have a successful home building experience. I hope this has been helpful, you guys. Please let me know in your comments below. I always answer all the comments. And with that, please like and subscribe. I love to hear from you. I'm Brad the Builder, and I'll see you guys on the next job site.